For week 4 of my preparation and reflection, getting ready for my standards check, which is now next month. So a little bit concerning. We've got about 6 to 8 weeks, I think, to prepare for my standards check. So this week has been a little better for my reflection. So we'll talk about that in a little bit, but I also got on the client-centered learning and standards check workshop with knowledgeable instructor training. So I had a nice little road trip on Tuesday to Blackpool and back from Swindon. So that was a very long day, but worth it. Lots of learning on the course with Lee and Mick, and some things that I put into practice straight away because I was back in work first thing Wednesday morning. So I got to put some of that into practice. One thing that I put into practice straight away was around the conversation. So they done a bit on the grow model and how we can use that. So I've been using that a lot more and being conscious of it. So having the conversations and being more specific with our goal with the learner. So what we're going to achieve, but understanding why we're going working on it as well. So getting as specific as we can so that we can go and do that. And then we can move on to the next task if needed or delve into it a little bit more. So I'm seeing huge benefit from that straight away, being conscious of understanding the student, their needs, and what they want to work on. So something else that has changed this week as well, I'm being much more specific on what I want to achieve in the lesson and what I'm working on. So the main focus this week has been watching the student more. That's definitely something that I think I'm going to be forever trying to improve because the car's moving. We need to be able to see what's going on up ahead, what's coming, and what the student's doing as a result of what they can see. So I'm having to spot it early and then watch the student and see if they're doing what they should be or what I'm expecting them to do in an appropriate time. Something that I have found is helping a lot with that, and I've been more conscious of it this week. I don't know whether that's because I've been doing it more or whether I'm just aware of it. But what's been helping is with the fairly new students, when we have to go to a training area, taking time to drive them around the initial route that we're going to be using. So I'm kind of talking through what we're going to be doing and almost setting the scene for the students. So when they get in the driver's seat, things are not so much a surprise for them. And then as they progress in that area and we push out, they're utilizing the skills in more unfamiliar areas. So they're getting the confidence and the practice in their own skills. So I've been coming to the lessons with specific goals and watching the student more and taking more time to find their goals and their needs. And another thing that I noticed with that, I can be quite quick to want to get going when they get in the car. So throughout the lesson, I'm happy to stop and chat and understand the student. But that initial getting in the car, I'm often thinking, right, we need to get somewhere. But I've been much more conscious this week of listening to the student and taking the time to find that specific goal from that first minute of the lesson when they get in. So lots of good stuff this week. The course was knowledgeable. My reflection, I've reflected after every lesson, and I'm finding now I'm looking to reflect more on what I believe are the good things of the lesson and looking at how I can develop them. So every lesson, I've been going through my reflective logs, not necessarily at the end of every lesson, but at the end of every day, as a minimum, I'm reflecting on each lesson. And I'm coming to the lesson with a goal for me to help my students, and a slight change or something that I'm more aware of as well is getting the student to rate their own driving. And what I mean by that is, let's say we're working on positioning left turns. So we are dealing with junctions, left turns, and I'd sometimes find myself, once we've done the left turn, commenting on it, saying, "Oh, that was quite good. Well done. Should we go and do some more?" Whereas now I'm asking the students, "So how has that gone? How do you feel that's gone? Was it as you expected?" And the response is surprising me a little bit, because something that I'm maybe happy with, they're maybe not, and they want to find a way to develop it, or vice versa. I might think that something wasn't quite as well as it could have been, and they thought it was okay. So I'm getting their opinion first and understanding their thoughts, and then building on that rather than my thoughts. So I'm getting much better feedback from the students. And what that is then doing is, because they're giving the feedback, they're then coming up with the solution, and they're coming up with a plan to move forward, which is becoming a lot easier for me to manage. And we can transfer information, so the student can take something good from one thing and add it to the next one, and it's they're doing it, they're coming up with their ideas, so they're owning it, they're owning their ideas, the solution, and the reflection after it as well. So that's something that I'm finding is really helping in the lessons for me and for the students. And another thing I've noticed, now I'm more conscious of everything that's going on in the car. My focus is sometimes drifting. So I'm getting back to mindfulness and taking time for me, where I'm not on social media, I'm not on a lesson, or I'm just sitting down. I'm not quite meditating yet, although that is the plan, to make more time for the mindfulness and just letting things play through my mind. And I'm noticing that I'm now able to focus a little bit more. So this week has been, in my opinion, quite productive. I'm feeling the improvements in the lessons and the confidence in myself, and I'm much more focused on the pupil. And I'm looking forward to going into next week. I'm going to be having specific goals for the lessons. I'm going to try, rather than just having a generic goal for the week, like this week was very much watching the student and taking more time to find that specific goal. I'm going to be looking next week to come up with a plan before the lesson. So write it down before the lesson, what I'm going to be working on for myself, and then reflecting on that specific thing. So not just an overall reflection of the lesson. How did I do at this specific task? Whatever it is, whether it's watching the student, whether it's having those conversations, whether it's being more specific with my directions and the language that I'm using. So I'm going to find some things that I want to focus on, and I'm going to be specific with each lesson and reflect on that specific task and see how that's gone, and then look at the overall lesson and see how that's gone. So a productive week. I've got a couple of lessons over the weekend, a bit of time off, so I'm looking forward to it. And then we've got the episode going out on Sunday, more filming next week. So next week's going to be a bit of a busier week. Yeah, it's all going to plan so far. I've got a structure, I've got some ideas, I've got some goals. And as always, if you've got any questions, if you want any more specific information, then leave a comment down in the comment section, or drop me a message on either the Facebook page, whether that's the podcast page or whether that's my personal page, whatever. And I will get back to you as soon as I can. But yeah, that's it. A good week. I'm looking forward to more reflection and structure going into next week, getting ready for that standards check.